Everyone today. Hi, Elizabeth.
Good.
Cheryl Ann, I saw you earlier today. Yeah. I recognize the t-shirt. Never give up. Is that what that says?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good to have your host back again.
All right. Thank you. All right. Nice to see everyone.
Good to see you, Deb.
Thank you. Just want to introduce the two folks at the top or on either side of me, at least on my screen. There's Michael and Kevin with TA support. So Michael is going to be hanging out and checking chat and helping you with any kind of technical issues that you might be getting. And I see that he just put a little message in the chat box. So we're glad to have Michael here. And I'm really glad to have you all here. And Cheryl Ann, I'm so glad you came back. All right, this class, as you might know, I don't know if any of you have been to this class before. This one's been around for a little while. It was the very first Great Meals class Great Meals in 30 Minutes class that I did. But since then, we had a fall Great Meals and a winter Great Meals. And I want to let you know that later this week, there's a Great Spring Meals, and that's brand new. So if you are interested and you like this class, you can come back for that one too. And there are lots of all kinds of new things that I've got coming that are food related, but fun related, like an Earth Day class and one on the Kentucky Derby. Is anybody here a Kentucky Derby fan? Because if you come to my class, you will be a fan. And you can wear a hat because I've made a Kentucky Derby hat and I'm dying to show you, but I'm not going to show you today. So you'll just have to come and find out. So while everyone has been kind of coming in, we have a little bit of chat. Is everybody well today? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's spring, it's getting there. We're getting out a little bit. That feels good. All right, I'm going to share my screen so we can go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming back, Pam. Okay. Are you seeing what you should be seeing? Great Meals in 30 Minutes or Less? Yahoo, okay. So is there anyone here that's absolutely new to Get Set Up? Anybody absolutely new to any of my classes? Okay, Joyce, welcome. It's nice to have you. And Elizabeth, it's really nice to have you too. I'm really glad you came. And I hope that you will join us. We have a lot of fun in these classes, I think. And I'm always glad to see faces that I recognize come back again. That's a good sign. My name is Deb Livingston, and I am your guide for today. I live in York, Pennsylvania, and it is getting warmer here, and I love it. My background is in adult and organizational development and psychology, which means that in my business career, I spent a lot of time in the classroom and teaching people and also coaching leaders and managing folks. So now it's been fun to translate those skills into doing something that I really love, talking about food and sharing what I know about it with you all. So that's what we'll do today. And I always like to learn from you, really, because I think that it's fun for me to find out what I can find out to give to you, and then also learn what you've learned along the way. And together we really grow. So that's the nature of my classes, and I want it to be fun for you. I think that we all learn from each other. Ideally, if you can do it, be on camera, and I see many of you are on camera today, and that's fantastic. I really appreciate that. I know also that sometimes that's not feasible. I've been on Zoom calls already where I say, not camera ready. That's fine. So please participate with your microphone if you like. You can unmute yourself at any time and ask a question. Don't worry if we stumble over each other. That happens sometimes. No big deal. It's the nature of Zoom. And if you are not comfortable using your microphone, then you can simply use the chat, because Michael's going to monitor the chat and make sure that we address any questions or concerns or comments that you might have. So that's important. Just a reminder that if you do unmute yourself, then put yourself back on mute. And that's just to keep the background noise out. We are recording this class. So that means you can request a copy of it if you would like it, or you can just come back to the class, which I would love. You can contact help@getsetup.io for a copy of the recording, or you can contact them if you have any kinds of problems with technology or any way of communicating with us is not working, you get in touch with them. We are live streaming today. Did you know that? Did you notice on our website that we have that live stream now, that little TV set? Has anybody ever used that? Have you used it yet? Or are you mostly coming? Yeah, you like it? Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have one in the background like the Today Show. Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, it is. That's how I use it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were hoping. So anyway, we welcome those of you who are joining us by live stream, and we really invite you to register for a class and come and enjoy this interaction time too when you get an opportunity. So that's that. And I will tell you that sometimes in these classes, well, in all of my classes, I share information that usually means I go out to somebody's website. And I want you to know that any products or services or connections that way result in no financial gain for me or for Get Set Up. We're just connecting you to resources that we think you might like. Okay, so with that, we'll get into it. And our agenda today is about 30-minute meals, and we're going to talk about 4 basic things. The first thing we're going to talk about is how do you get your head wrapped around getting in and out of the kitchen in 30 minutes. How many of you have spent the last year plus cooking a lot more than you used to? Anybody done that during the pandemic? Yeah. You know, maybe it was a little novel at first, like, oh, isn't this fun? I'm cooking a little more. And then it got a little bit old. And then maybe you got to the end of that meal rotation, and that same meal rotation got a little bit boring. So I don't want to spend that much time. What's that, Renee?
This was right on time for me. I'm so sick of it cooking, and it seems to take so long to make everything. Thank you.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I have to be honest with you. I am still learning it too. So I am learning to spend less time in the kitchen, and I'm looking for even faster ways. So I'm going to introduce you to these ways. And as we go, I hope ensuing classes, I'll get even better at this. So we're going to talk about this 30-minute meal mindset, because that's the first thing. How do we wrap our heads around doing this a different way? I know I can waste a lot of time because I don't plan properly. That's one of the things that I might wait till the last minute thinking I have everything I need in my pantry and I'll just throw something together, and I end up wasting more time and also energy around that. So we'll talk about the meal mindset. And then I have 3 different methods that you can use to create some quick meals that will get you in and out of the kitchen. So we're going to talk about sheet pan dinners, skillet dinners, and salads and grain bowls, which are essentially one container meals. And that just cuts down on cleanup time as well. So that's what we're going to get into. So I guess I want to throw this out to you. Renee's already said this is perfect timing because she's really tired of being in the kitchen. What brought the rest of you here today?
I just, every time I come to your class, I find some good recipes and some good information. So I don't care what class you're teaching, it's great.
Oh,
I just made your last class.
To say that.
The last, every time I share one of the things I made last time, your class, you had the quick Tuscan bean soup. I made it and it was so wonderful, and it was quick and easy.
Good.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, I can't get any better than that. Thank you. And like I said, I did not pay her to come on and say that.
For me, Joyce, I love to cook. I like to try different things. Oh, by the way, I lost 10 pounds in the pandemic. I don't understand how. I mean, At first, yes, I was moving, and now I'm at home cooking. Had foster kids. I had about 4. And, I love to cook, the homemade biscuits, the homemade cakes, all this stuff. But when they left, I switched and started eating more vegetables.
That'll do it.
And less meat. And I must have been that. And then, like, if I cook some rice, I put less meat and put a lot of vegetables. And it worked for my husband. He joined me. He kind of helped me out because he didn't complain, about what I fixed. He said, it's good. So I just want to tell you,
Let's give her a hand because everybody, the rest of us maybe have, well, COVID-10 is what maybe some of us have. Yeah, that's
right.
fantastic.
Yeah, so you just caught my attention about the meals because I like to try different meals, like from different countries, how they prepare. I looked at what a diabetic eat, a blood pressure person eat, cholesterol, you name it. I have looked it up to see, you know, so it's like the same vegetables, but prepared different.
Yeah, good for you. Just, you
Thank
know,
you.
it is all about that, right? It's preparation. Who else
Yeah.
was Loretta, were you going to say something? You want to unmute
I
yourself?
was. Oh,
Loretta, can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Yeah, I forgot. But yeah, I like the class because I like learning how I could fix things in 30 minutes and it doesn't, you know, take long. And then the different meals.
Yeah. Okay.
That
Just give you something different to eat.
Yeah. And that's what I really like about it. And then I like to try different salads, you know.
Okay.
and
Got
stuff
some
like
great
that.
ideas for you there today.
Yeah.
Okay. And Pam, you have your hand up.
yeah, because I keep trying the Rachel Ray recipes and they never take 30 minutes. They take me an hour. So I'm curious if your methods might be a little better than hers for me. We're not a good fit, me and Rachel Ray.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how I do because sometimes I wonder, I mean, I'll see how we do. And you give me the feedback. I do think that
Okay.
one of the things that we have to think about is how to allocate our time so that does Rachel Ray do some things that are already prepared in advance?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that magically everything's chopped up, you know, already. Everything's measured out. So just dump it in. And
Yeah. And you know, okay, so we'll talk more about that. That is true. Go ahead, Cheryl Ann.
Oh, I really enjoyed your program this morning. And then I really liked that you attached in the notes everything recipes, so I don't have to go hunting around for recipes. I don't have too many cookbooks and I don't like all this online looking for recipes, you know, so I appreciated that in the notes.
Fantastic. I'm glad that you feel that way. I don't like that either. And I like when somebody goes through and at least picks some out and says, these are the good ones to try. So I know our taste buds are different, but hopefully this is something, these are some that resonate with you anyway.
I made
Okay,
30.
so let's get into it then. Does anybody else have anything? Renee, were you going to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have 30-minute meals that I have in the freezer. They're called Marie Calendar family meals. That's what I started
Well,
going.
hey, they work in a pinch, right?
Yeah, it's better than going out to eat when you don't want to eat in this
That's right.
COVID.
That's right. And you know, sometimes planning some of these meals, like I have one in the Heart Healthy class that Cheryl Ann just attended that is really quick and easy to assemble. I should probably have it in this one. But what makes it really nice is that you can quickly and easily assemble 3 of them. Make one of them and put the other 2 in the freezer. Then the next time you don't have any time in the kitchen and they're really easy. So that's another thing to think about, how you can make the most out of the time that you are preparing to maybe freeze some of these things. So let's talk about this 30-minute meal mindset that I was discussing earlier. It does seem that all the research that I do on any kind of eating, whether it's eating quick meals or eating healthy meals or eating better if you're diabetic, all start with saying, plan ahead. You know, take some time. Maybe you're watching a movie on a Sunday afternoon in front of the TV and you just sit down with your iPad a little bit while you're watching and you Google a few recipes, or you take some of the recipes that you get from this class and you say, well, I'm going to make this on Monday, this on Wednesday, this on Thursday. And here are all the ingredients that I need. And now I know what I need at the grocery store and I'm set for the week. And then you go to the grocery store and you get just the things that you need. And if you get to go to the grocery store for 2 weeks of meals and only have to go to the grocery store once, you've saved that time as well. But then you come back. Maybe it's the ideal thing would be that you go to the grocery store and when you come back, there are some of those ingredients that you know that you can go ahead and prepare ahead of time. So this is where that comes in, Pam. This is the Rachel Ray stuff. So you get your onions out of the bag, you get your peppers and that kind of thing out, but you don't put them away. You just get out your cutting board and your knives, and you get out, because these are usually things that all require kind of the same technique. So you're just getting them out once and doing it all at once, packing it up, and then having it in the refrigerator for when you're ready to cook that night. So Monday night you have onions, Wednesday night you have onions, Thursday night you have onions, but all your onions have been cut at one time. And my little secret for using that kind of power hour that I'm talking about is that I pick a time when I want some downtime for myself. Now that sounds kind of odd, but I have a view of my television set from the kitchen. And that's my time for binge watching. Let's see. One season it was Outlander. So I wanted to watch that and keep watching it. And so I chopped everything in sight, right? So it was kind of good. And I made up my dressings for the week. And I made up any of my marinades and put my meat in there, anything like that. Instead of taking things out and putting them away or repackaging them, just take them the next step to meal prep. So I realized that's putting a little time in at a time maybe you weren't expecting. It's not mealtime, but when it comes then to putting it all together to get your meal going, you've got minutes in there after you don't have to chop things again. So I really, really advocate using that power hour. You can dance, you can put Get Set Up TV in the background and do a Zumba class or something with it, or sing, or meditate with Glenda. Anyway, the other thing I'm suggesting here is that you stock your pantry really well. And I'm going to give you in my email that I send out afterward. Thanks for saying that, Cheryl Ann. I do send an email out with all the links to all the recipes and things we look at. I'll send you a pantry list just of suggested things that you might want to consider adding to your pantry to jazz things up a little. Because let's face it, there's a lot you can do with beans and rice and chicken and spaghetti, the staples. But if you have some different kinds of sauces or spices or herbs, those are things that are going to help you make a change just slightly that will really change the taste of your meals. So you don't have to radically change the ingredients, just change up the flavors a little bit. So stock that pantry. And then third, I think that mastering the methods here is really important. That means committing some things to memory so you don't have to think about them. How much time does it take when you have to constantly go back and forth to your iPad and look at the recipe and, have to think about everything that you're doing? So what we tend to do to save time is rely on those old standbys that we can cook out of our heads, right? The ones that we grew up with or we just made repetitively, which we're all really sick of right now. So in this case, you might try some of these methods, maybe hone in on one at first and just challenge yourself to take that one and riff on it. Come up with some other combinations and try those and just get really good at it so you don't even have to think about it again. And then go on to the second one and so on. And then this, so I'll just stop right there because I feel like I'm running really fast to just ask you what your thoughts are so far about this and your input about it. Does this resonate?
The reason I like to plan ahead is to get the carrots and the onions and the celery and all that cut up. It seems like I enjoy the actual cooking part better when I have that done the day before or even early in the morning. And then when I'm doing the cooking, it seems more fun.
Yeah, I feel like Rachel Ray.
Yeah, right.
That's a really great point. Can anybody else attest to that?
Well, I like to, I can't get out because of circumstances and I do Instacart. So sometimes it's hard to get all the fresh stuff, but when I can, it's like, woohoo, like today I couldn't get strawberries, but if I plan ahead and I have access to that through the Instacart and I can get it delivered, it's like, oh, okay. So planning ahead is really good for me right now.
Yeah. And that's a kick too, when everything comes together and you have all your ingredients.
Yeah.
And I can really relate to what you said, Gloria, because there's something different, you know, that in the restaurant, you have a sous chef that does all the cutting and prepping and dirty work, and that's off to one side. And then you have the chef who makes the magic when your order comes in from the waitress, and he just, you know, he gets that burner going and he gets that pan going and he's just throwing things into the pan that if that sous chef took all the time to do. So you're right, he's having all the fun. And, you know, the sous chef has done all that prep work ahead of time. So that's what we need to think about, I guess. The mindset is separate those tasks, the prep from the actual cooking a little bit. And it might help, because the other thing that happens when you're prepping on the same day that you're doing the cooking, if you're doing all the prepping, is that you end up with a messy counter, don't you? You know, you've got too many things on the counter. And then if you're like me, I'm like throwing things, trying to push things aside, and it just gets a little frustrating sometimes. So good point, Gloria. I'm glad you said that. The other thing that I would say that relates to this is this concept of mise en place. Does anybody know that term? Have you heard this term before? This is a French term, and it is used in restaurant cooking or in cooking in general to imply the very same thing. It means everything's in its place. So it means that you've prepped everything for your meals. This is what restaurants do. And then for the home cook, what I would suggest is that you read your recipe, or you think about your recipe before you actually set about cooking, and you get everything out first. So you go to the drawer and get your knives, you go to the pan drawer and get your pans out, you get your measuring spoons, you get all of your ingredients, everything out that you need for the recipe as you read down through the recipe. And then lastly, you fill your sink up with soapy water, and you set out a bowl, if you need it, you set out a bowl for scraps. So you don't have to run back and forth to the trash can, depending upon where you have that situated. So now you have everything in place, and we're set up, like Gloria said, for a wonderful cooking experience that can be creative and enjoyable at the same time. So that's mise en place. Now you can, okay, let's say it together. We've done this before. I usually have a French speaking person. Does anybody speak French here? Well, we're going to all say it just to have fun. Mise en place. Mise en place. Mise en place. Okay, now you can wow your friends with your new French term. And if you're wondering, they always have these great, on Google, you can say, how do you pronounce, and type it in, and you get this nice little pronunciation. Okay, so another idea is to take shortcuts, really keep it simple. There's frozen vegetables already cut up that you can get. There's vegetables in the produce section that are already cut up that you can use. Take advantage of that. It's more costly. I tend to go with Whole Foods and cut everything up. That's just me. For some, it's more important to save the time by buying the things that are already prepared. So you can do that. And in these particular meals, 30-minute meals, you want to avoid proteins that take too long to cook. And they would be, well, what would take too long to cook in 30 minutes? What kind of proteins would take too long?
Roast beef.
Yeah, so roast beef. They take hours, don't they? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of things that have bones in them or are thick cuts of meat. So here we're going to be looking at things that cook quickly with no bones and can get finished within that period of time, some even shorter than that. And last but not least, if you're using your oven, as in the sheet pan meals today, please turn it on before that would be your first mise en place. You go over and turn on your oven so that you're not waiting for preheating for another 10 minutes when you are ready to cook. So any other tips that you would throw out from your own experience in getting in and out of the kitchen? How do you shortcut preparation? Not sure, huh? Michael, anything in the chat box?
The chat is clear. I have Pam's hand up for a while. Is there any question, Pam?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
And if you'll get to this or not, or it's another class, but do you know of sites or resources that would already have an idea of a meal every day for you? Because one of my challenges is finding recipes for every day of the week. It's it's mind numbing. There's too many resources out there for me to scroll through all these different recipes or all these cookbooks. And then I just give up. So,
yeah, I hear you. It is information overload. We have that in all phases of our lives, don't we? So you want to get something
right.
simple but good, right? Yeah, there are lots.
Yeah. If
of,
somebody had like a, Mhm.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, if there are, okay, if there's a site or something that says, here's a 7-day or 5-day meal, this week, eat these 5 meals. And then that way you're shopping too, maybe they coordinate with each other. So it's, a lot of, you don't have to buy, you can use leftovers with the next one and so forth. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I have run across those kinds of sites. There are a lot of those out there. I don't have any ready at my fingertips, but Pam, one of the things I'm thinking about doing, well, I will do, is maybe a series on meal planning, because there are those resources. One of the things that I use is a meal app that allows me to save recipes from different sites, and I can drag and drop them into a calendar. And I have begun using, I use that app. I only put in there the recipes that I really like and will make again. Because the other thing is, you don't want to, they may send you 5 and you only like, one of them.
Right.
So you want to not repeat those same ones that you didn't like. So that's a great question. Yes, do continue to look back, check back, because we'll get into it a little more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get into sheet pan dinners. So the concept of sheet pan dinners is that they prepare and cook within the 30 minutes that we are designating. So what do we know about sheet pan dinners from this picture? What can you see about this? What would you say these all have in common?
They all use a sheet pan?
They're all on a sheet pan, and they're on a rim sheet
variety.
pan. They're all on a rim sheet pan. What else?
There's a variety of food on the sheet pan.
Yep, it's the whole meal right on the sheet pan.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see that's on the sheet pan on the first 2 recipes underneath the food?
Parchment paper.
Parchment paper. You could use silicone mats as well, but something that's going to keep your food from getting all stuck on that pan, so that you have to spend 10 minutes with your SOS pad or whatever you use trying to get all the bits off the pan. So parchment paper, I highly recommend. Those silicone mats are really nice as well. So that's the other thing. The third thing that you can't see from the picture is that you are cooking these at relatively high temperature, anywhere from 400 to 450 degrees, and that varies. And then you can also see that you've got some smaller pieces, but we'll talk about that in more detail. Going to go, so these are both great recipes. I'll talk a little bit about. This one is more of a concept, so I'm just going to explain it without looking at the recipe, but I will send you the link to the description that tells you how to do what you need to do. This concept of chicken fajitas or easy fajitas. How many of you like fajitas in Mexican restaurants? Do you like those? They come out sizzling and all that. They're really delicious. These don't come out sizzling because it's done in a different way, but they come out very flavorfully. And what they have, what you can do with this is make it with chicken. You can make it with shrimp. You can make it with strips of beef. Again, strips. Your fajita literally means little strip. So you're going with little strips of chicken or beef, or like I said, the shrimp would be tasty in here as well. If you're vegetarian, you can just leave the meat completely out. And then what you want to do is find a fajita seasoning mix. You can find it at the store, or you can look up a recipe. I think I have a recipe in this website where you can mix up your own, which also allows you to control your sodium. So all you're really doing here, and you can do it all on one pan if you like, is tossing the seasoning mix with a little bit of oil on this mix of vegetables, which consist of colorful peppers and onions. That's really the traditional fajita mix, onions and peppers. Now, can you put other vegetables in there? Well, the food police aren't going to come to your house and tell you you can't, so you might as well try and see what you like. It depends on what you like with the fajita seasoning. I do like that these vegetables get more limp. little more limp. I'm not sure, but I think experiment. That's what this is all about. But just make the vegetables bite size, of course. And then at the end, you're squeezing a little lime over and serving it with some fresh cilantro. So very simple to make and takes within the 30-minute time period. So the thing that I do, they say drizzle the stuff and toss it on the pan. You can do that. I sometimes make an extra bowl dirty just because for me, it's easier to toss them in a bowl and clean the bowl. I get it mixed up faster that way instead of flipping it out over the pan and not getting all the mixture tossed in. So you might try that. And then you see that they put the little tortillas in a piece of foil and they lay them on the pan for the last 10 minutes or so that they warm up in the oven as well. So you can get in there about halfway through, toss them around a little bit. But other than that, you really don't have to have eyes or hands on it until it's done, until it's finished. So those are very tasty and lots of different options there with the different protein sources. Questions or thoughts about the fajitas?
I use a tofu in there also.
Have you used it? Have you done the tofu?
Yeah, I have, and it turns out fine.
Okay, great. And tell the group here which tofu you use.
Oh, I just get a tofu I usually get one from just a plain tofu from Trader Joe's.
Do you use a firm tofu?
Yes, the firm or extra firm.
Okay, extra firm would probably be even better that way. It will, yeah, very good. Okay, nice to know. All right.
Have you tried any of these on a grill, like a grill pan on a gas grill outside? Have you ever done something
it
like
would
that?
be great. Yeah, it would be perfect. I have not, but it would work well. Yeah. Yep.
I like to eat my fajita with brown rice.
Delicious. That's a great option.
Uh-huh.
No tortilla. I feel like you do, Cassandra. I don't necessarily want the carbs there, the flour carbs. So I would also eat my fajitas over a salad.
Oh, okay.
And then top it with some Greek yogurt or some sour cream with some avocado or guacamole on the side.
Okay, I'm gonna try that.
Tomatoes. So you can dress this up in multiple ways, and then it reheats nicely too. So you can repurpose it in different ways. So you might have a stuffed fajita within a tortilla one night. You might have it over rice another time or over a salad, at some point, or serve it as a side dish, the remaining part as a little bit of a side with something else later in the week. That works too. So that's another way to save some time. Make extra and then repurpose some of your leftovers, but not as they were originally eaten. Mix them up a little bit. So this recipe I am fond of. It really was a 30-minute recipe. It was, in my opinion, beautiful. And my husband and I agree that if this is a meal that if we had another couple over for dinner and we wanted a real no hassle, easy dinner, we could throw this together, serve it, and feel like it looked really beautiful, out on the patio with a nice glass of white wine. And so this is using chicken, but you can use tofu also. It has asparagus, lemon, and leeks, and perfect for spring because asparagus is in season. So are leeks. And how many of you have worked with leeks before? Okay, so let's take a quick look at leeks, just take a diversion into the leek territory. Leeks are fantastic. They are a great source of mild onion flavor. They're big. Have you seen them in the store? Do you know what they look like? They're these huge things. They look like scallions on steroids. And the only part of a leek that's good is for cooking like we're talking about here is this white part. So look for ones, you kind of get cheated if you get ones that are green all the way down to the bottom. So try to find ones that are blanched up to here, but don't throw this away. Clean these up. Now they do have layers, they are like a tree, they have rings. And they do get sandy, but they're easy to clean. You can just slit them a little bit and clean and rinse the sand out of there. And then cut these off and put them in a bag and put them in the freezer, and then come to my soups from scratch class and I'll show you what to do with them, because you'll never throw another leek away again. So this is the leek that we're going to use in this meal. And it is a very mild, flavored onion. So you don't have to worry about biting into something that's going to taste real oniony. And this couldn't be easier to make. I'm just going to scroll a little bit here. This is the lemon marinade that we're going to make, or the sauce that this is going to go over all the vegetables as well as over the chicken. It's a lemon tarragon marinade. We'll get to the ingredients in a minute. But you toss the marinade with the asparagus first. This order is important because what we're doing is saving the meat for last so that we don't have all those meat juices getting onto our vegetables. So we toss the asparagus, we lay it on the parchment sheet lined pan. Then we put the leeks in and do the same thing. The tofu if we're using it. And then finally the chicken. And so then till it's all said and done, you've got this kind of thing happening. You're going to put some lemon zest over, and the lemons lay on top. And let's scroll down here. That's the end product. If you bake it and it doesn't look brown like this, you can put it under the broiler for just a minute or two to get that desired brownness that you might want. And so this is what the ingredients are. So I always look, I don't know about you, but I look for a short list of ingredients when I'm trying to save time. So it's 2 lemons. I know I was going to try to expand. 2 lemons and a 1/4 cup of olive oil, 4 to 6 garlic cloves that you've pressed or minced. And I do suggest you take the time and use fresh, real garlic cloves. They make all the difference. 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then about 1/4 or 1/3 of a cup of tarragon leaves that you've chopped roughly. So use fresh tarragon, splurge on that. It's good time in the spring. Go and plant yourself a tarragon plant. You might enjoy that. It's especially good with chicken. And then you have an extra large bunch of asparagus. I always go, the more veggies, the better, right? And then these leeks that you cut in 1/2-inch rounds. And then the chicken breast. You're using boneless, skinless chicken breast. I see no reason why you couldn't use the thighs as well, or instead of, whatever you prefer. And we are going to preheat the oven to 450 before we start all of this, right? So you make that marinade and do the steps that I just talked about, and you're going to bake it for about 20 minutes. And then all you need is an instant read thermometer to make sure that your chicken is up to 165, and then it's finished, and you can just give everything a toss and sprinkle with a little more tarragon and serve it. And it really does look pretty on the plate. So do you think that one, Pam, do you think that one would fit the 30-minute rule? It's 20 minutes to cook and 10 minutes to prep. You think you could get those leeks cut? And
that one looks reasonable. Yeah.
Looks doable.
I think that one looks good.
And if you had your asparagus already popped and washed from your store, your power hour, and even had your leeks chopped and cleaned, you'd be set. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So who's going to try that one? Well, maybe. Okay, good. Now this next one, somebody was saying, was it Joyce loves to cook and she likes to try new things. So I thought I'd give you a new flavor here to try. How many of you have ever tried using miso in a recipe? Miso paste. Who knows what miso paste is? Gloria, what's miso paste? Oh, unmute yourself. Unmute.
I use it in some recipes that I have, Asian recipes, but I can't tell you what it is.
I know, it's really hard to tell, isn't it? So miso is an Asian flavor. It's what's called umami. You know, we talk salty, sweet, sour. bitter. Umami is one of those flavors, kind of a rich, salty kind of flavor. And it sounds really, bleh. It is a fermented soybean paste. It's fermented with a grain. And so it can come in different colors, white, gold, red. And it is very flavorful in making sauces, in making dressings, in making miso soup. You've heard of that if you've gone to Japanese restaurants, it's always served. So when you know about miso, you know how easy it is to make miso soup. And a little bit goes a long way. If you invest in it, you can experiment with it and it will keep in your refrigerator. For how long, Gloria? How long have you had yours?
Mine, it comes in such a big container, and it's like a pound, seems like about a pound of it. And I've had it in there and I just used it maybe a few months ago, but it's been in there a good year.
Yeah, you can keep it for a really long time.
Yeah.
So get it, put it in the refrigerator, every now and then pull it out and Google a recipe for miso and try something new with it as a way to experiment. So our ingredients here for the paste that we're going to make, the sauce we're going to make, includes sesame oil. And I always say buy the toasted sesame oil because it is better for us and it's also more flavorful. Mirin, which is a Japanese sweet wine that you can find at the grocery store or at the liquor store. It's kind of like buying a white cooking wine. And then miso paste. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute. And then a little bit of sugar, either brown sugar or maple syrup or honey. Some fresh ginger, which is really important, and garlic. And you can use optionally liquid smoke. I don't think I used that in mine because I just wanted the Asian flavor, but you can use that. And then we're looking at another spring kind of meal here. Actually, I think I started this class last spring, so that's why we're bumping up against 2 spring meal classes. This uses spring peas, so both shelled peas and sugar snap peas. But I want to ask you this, just take a pause here, thinking about this recipe and where we're going with it, and the last recipe, and thinking about how we might change some things up. Thinking about the texture and the relative cook time of these vegetables, what other vegetables could you use in place of the ones that we're seeing here and in that chicken recipe that you like?
You could use asparagus with this.
You could use asparagus with this. You're absolutely right.
Broccoli.
Carrots.
Use some broccoli in here. That would be very tasty.
Yeah. What about carrots?
Carrots would be great. You would want to cut them in a small enough piece that they would get finished within that period of time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But anything else?
Lemon wedges that you could put over your salmon. Your lemon wedges.
Yeah. Yeah, you might want to try that, experiment with that with the miso. Taste the lemon, taste the miso, because you don't have the advantage right now of knowing what that miso sauce tastes like. So you would want to see if that tastes good to you to have lemon and the miso sauce together. But yeah, you could do that or eliminate the miso sauce and just do the lemon. Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering, could you use like the canned carrots? Well, I don't know, but I know it don't take long for them either.
Yeah, I think they'd almost get a little too mushy.
Yeah.
I think they would. I think you'd be better off using even frozen carrots or something that's already been a little bit prepared that way. Yeah.
That works. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you could also use green beans, right? They would be another good substitute in here. Yeah, you could try anything and you only have to try it once if you don't like it. I wonder how cabbage would be, because cabbage is used a lot in Asian dishes, and you can thin slice cabbage and toss it and roast it and tossed with this dressing. I wonder, I think it might taste good. I just happened to think of that.
Cauliflower might be good too.
Oh, yeah, cauliflower might be good.
What about Brussels sprouts? Shaved Brussels sprouts.
Yes. Oh, shaved especially would be good, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Now, the thing about this is that it is very fast, very fast. You're going to make this marinade, the olive oil, sesame oil, mirin, miso paste, sugar, ginger, blah, blah. And then you're going to have these pieces of salmon. Now, salmon comes in different thicknesses. So you have to think about adjusting your cooking time that way. You're really just, in this case, I was thinking all of these were over 400 degrees, but it looks like this one's 375. So you're mixing that together, and then you're going to pat the salmon dry and then spread the marinade on top of the salmon, and then drizzle the rest of the marinade over the vegetables. If you feel like you have too much marinade and you don't want to use it all on those vegetables, you don't have to. And then the salmon just needs to be baked for maybe 12 to 15 minutes. And my tip for salmon is that you should check it. I would check it after 10 or 12 minutes and see where it is. But I have a particular taste for salmon that I don't prefer it to be overcooked. So I like to go in there with my fork in the center and just see if it's still a little bit, almost a little bit red in the center. Not raw, but a little bit red, because then I know it's real soft and it flakes off soft. When it gets done and it becomes really pink inside, like a light pink inside, it can get more tough and it tastes more dry. And I think that it's almost like two different fishes for me. So just a word to caution there. It depends on how you like your fish, but start early to check for doneness on that. Thoughts? Questions? Let me see our time, 3:46. We're not doing too badly, but I'm going to move on and just show you a quick glimpse of the miso paste. That's what it looks like. That's what you might find in the grocery store. It's refrigerated, so you might even find it in the health food section of your grocery store rather than your regular refrigerated section. Depends on your store and how enlightened they are. But you can see it's very pasty, and only a little bit goes a long way.
Does it matter what, like a yellow miso or a red miso, or does that matter?
They all have slightly different flavors. So I think that you could just try whatever you like there. I always start with the one that they call for in the recipe. And then, I don't have room for every kind of miso. So I just kind of make it work. And I tend to go with the mellow white because I think it has the broadest base of application for what I'm making.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So these three dinners I really like a lot, and I'm going to highlight one or two of them. I think I want to talk about the Thai chicken coconut curry, because this is the one I'd like to challenge people a little bit on, since it may be out of a comfort zone. Anybody here like Thai food? Yeah? Anybody want to know what Thai food's all about? A little bit? Willing to experiment a little bit?
Thai food, but I don't like it real hot.
Me
I can't eat it real hot.
Who said that? Cassandra, you said that? Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly why I want to talk about this dish. Because I think that it's a shame for us to miss the flavors of Thai food because we're kind of afraid of the heat. My first experience with a Thai restaurant, I went and they asked me how hot I wanted my food. And I said, they said, we have a scale from 1 to 10. I said, well, I'll do 2. And I got my meal, and the first bite that I took of my meal was like, oh, this is delicious. And the second bite, I couldn't even taste because it was so hot that it just about blew my head off. So I didn't go back for quite a while. And then I learned that different restaurants will Americanize a little bit more to our taste buds and make calmer dishes. So this one is one that I think will really introduce you to some of the complex flavors without overdoing the spice, the heat. And it's pretty, isn't it? This can be served over rice or over naan bread, or with naan bread or a flatbread of some sort, or it can be served just on its own. So what do we have in here? We have coconut oil, onion, chicken breast, garlic, ginger, coriander, and we're using coconut milk here. Anybody using coconut milk? It's a fantastic staple to add it to your pantry if you don't already have it. You can change up so many recipes, including a lot of soups with just a can of coconut milk. Shredded carrots, and then this Thai red curry paste, which is what is responsible for the heat in this dish. And then we're going to be adding spinach and some lime juice and some cilantro. And let's look at how we make this dish. We start with adding the oil and just sauteing onion over medium-high heat in the pan. And when that is starting to soften after about 5 minutes, then you can put the chicken in. Now you have the chicken in bite-sized pieces, chicken breast in bite-sized pieces. And you just flip it until it's done. And then you add your aromatics, your garlic, ginger, and your coriander. Stir that around. It gets really fragrant, smells great. Then stir in your coconut milk, your carrots, the curry paste, salt, pepper, and then you boil that. You combine it and boil it. Just turn it down a little bit. You don't want it to get out of control. And you want to reduce it until it starts to get a little bit thick. Then you add the spinach and the lime juice. Combine all of that and cook it just till the spinach is wilted, a couple of minutes. And if you want to, you can add a little sugar. I did not do that. I liked it fine without any extra sugar. You can add more curry paste, salt and pepper, and then serve it with some fresh cilantro. Now, what I'd like to do is tell you a couple of things that I did with this recipe. One is that I started with 1 tablespoon of Thai red curry paste and I tasted it. And then at the end, I made adjustments. In fact, when I served it to friends a couple of weeks ago, I started with a teaspoon and then added more in as we tasted to see where our point was. So we never have to follow the recipe exactly. And so the other thing that I can say about this recipe is that for somebody who likes to pack vegetables into their meal, 3 cups of fresh spinach is not enough. I just found myself using that box of baby spinach and putting 3 big handfuls in. It was probably more like 6 cups, 5 or 6 cups of spinach because it wilts very, very easily. So that's that recipe. And what do you think, Pam? You think that could come together in 30 minutes?
That's a lot of ingredients, but I think I can try it.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I prepped it, yes.
Yeah, if you have, so you're cutting up the onion and you're cutting up the chicken breast and you are doing the garlic, but you can shred the carrots or you can buy shredded carrots. But other than that, you're not prepping the spinach. You're measuring some things out. Probably the time is spent in getting all your ingredients out. A little bit of time spent getting your ingredients out. Okay. Check my time here. I'm going to pass on going into the detail of this one, but I'm going to explain it in concept and I will send you the recipe. This is a very simple pan meal. This one, Pam, I guarantee will be a 30-minute thing. You're going to buy a shelf-stable or a frozen gnocchi. Who knows what gnocchi is? What is gnocchi? Go ahead, Gloria.
The pasta.
Yeah, it's a potato. It's kind of a cross between a pasta and a dumpling.
Right.
It's a potato dumpling kind of thing that cooks like a pasta. You can get it frozen or shelf stable, and all you do is cook it like pasta. So you've got that going on. And then you've got a pre-cooked, this is the important part, pre-cooked sausage. And it really doesn't matter. You can use chicken sausage, you can use regular sausage, any kind of seasoning that you want, but pre-cooked. So let's say you took a hot Italian or a mild Italian chicken sausage. What you were going to do in there is saute that sausage and add the tomatoes in there. And you're going to end up with a little bit of a tomato sauce that cooks out of those tomatoes. Add in your pasta, add in your basil, and you've got your meal. And you can change that up based on the type of sausage that you get. So the flavors can differ based on that. You can also put in different kinds of pastas if you want. So that would make a quick evening meal. Thoughts?
So that would be one I could use a vegan sausage in too then.
Absolutely. You could use a vegan sausage. You could use, anything like that would be great. You could even really, if you wanted to, well, I won't go that far. Never mind. But vegan sausage would be good. Yep. And then this easy Greek fish skillet is also easy. so that we have a fish dish here. And this white fish cooks really quickly. And isn't it pretty? So getting down here to the recipe. Not very many ingredients. We've got the white fish, which we're going to squeeze lemon over. And then we're going to put oil in our skillet and saute some onion, sliced onion and some minced garlic, and just cook it for a couple of minutes until it starts to soften. Then we put in some cherry tomatoes, and then we put in the olives. We're using pitted Kalamata olives. Does everybody know what a Kalamata olive is? Those black olives with intense flavor. They're wonderful. They are like this. I see a shaking head that no, maybe you're not familiar with those. So let's look. So they look like this, and you must get the pitted kind. It make your life simple.
Do you get the ones with oil or without? Because sometimes I get, when I buy them without oil, there's pretty tasteless.
I've never had that problem. I get this brand and I really like them.
Okay.
They sell them at Costco. I don't usually get them in oil. They're usually in water. Or
Okay.
a brine.
I use mine in my salad. When I make a salad,
I
like them in salads.
They really punch everything up, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good. They're another staple in the pantry. I always keep a big jar of them. And then we're going to cook the cherry tomatoes and the olives, and they make this really nice, tasty juice. Add a little more lemon in there, and then stir in the spinach after that's cooked up a little bit. When the spinach has started, just you lay that in there and lay the fish on top. And all of those flavors mingle together as the spinach melts or wilts, not melts. As it wilts, all the flavors come together with the olives and the tomatoes. And then you can serve it with more lemon, and you can crumble some feta cheese on there if you like. So that one literally does come together in minutes. Yeah, Pam.
Yeah. Have you made this one?
Yeah.
This recipe? So
Yeah.
it looks like that method. What I struggle with fish on the skillet is our whole house will smell like fish for a week. So I don't know what it is, but it gets somewhere in our house air. But that it says nestle and you cover. So I think that more of like a steam versus like a spraying of the oils everywhere.
Oh yes, definitely. It's more of it's more you're poaching the fish more. The other thing that I do with this, the other thing I do with fish that's super easy is take a white fish like that and I lay it in the pan, and start to cook it. It doesn't even matter how you do it. You just put it in the pan, dump a couple of cans of tomatoes, diced tomatoes. I'll pick an Italian tomato or something that's got a little spice to it, urban spice. I like thyme. I throw thyme over it and then throw in the Kalamata olives, just put the lid on and let it cook away. It makes this great fish sauce, almost like a fish stew because the fish flavors get into the sauce. So that's super easy. This is what our red curry paste looks like, and in the grocery store that you're only going to use a little bit of. And this takes us down to salad bowls and our last set of methods. And has anyone ever heard of Buddha bowls? Buddha bowls are intended to be, you've heard of them, Cheryl Ann. So they are by name, vegetarian, but they are an all-in-one meal, and they are intended to be a complete meal. So they have protein, they have carbohydrates, they have fats. And what I'm giving to you here is, What I'm giving to you here is a roadmap, and I've actually sent you 2 links, or we'll send you 2 links to give you some ideas for changing this up. The formula is that you add greens, you add a protein, you add grains, carbs, fats, and then any extras. So you can just change it up. You can use quinoa in there, you can use rice, you can use beans, any kind of fruit. And this will help you along the way to put something together that will really make your taste buds sing. And then there will be some dressing options too in this link that I send you and in the other one. So you can make these with a nice sweet kind of fruity vinaigrette or an Asian vinaigrette or something that is more savory too, if you like. So lots of options there, and they make great lunches as well. And then the last dish is a grilled chicken salad with blueberry vinaigrette. Maybe you've had salads like these in restaurants, or maybe you make these at home. But the point is, again, it's a full meal because you're using mixed greens. You're using some grapefruits. In this case, it's mandarin oranges and blueberries. You're using some other protein with cheese. You can use goat cheese, chèvre. You can use blue cheese. And then also some nuts. There's no nuts in this recipe, that really rounds it out. And what really, I think, makes these recipes, what makes this versatile is you can change out the meat, change it to shrimp, change it to beef, change out the fruit, make it strawberry, change out the vinaigrette, make it a strawberry vinaigrette instead of a blueberry vinaigrette, just by changing a couple of ingredients. So you have a lot of versatility there. And this is the pantry list I will send your way so that you have a chance to just go over it and say, maybe that's something I'll add to my pantry. So that takes us full circle back around to where we started. Thanks, Renee. And just want to let you know, got the soups from scratch coming up and bean salads with pizzazz tomorrow. And then great spring meals and bean soups and chowders are coming up. And I'm going to send you this email. It will have the links to everything and all the recipes that we talked about. And when you go into the schedule from the email, you can book your next class if you like. And don't forget, now tonight, get moving with line dancing. Go do the hustle tonight, ladies. Is there any gentlemen in here? So when you do that, when you book a class, also, don't forget about telling some friends. Bring your friends to a cooking class. Maybe they live across town or in another state and you can get together and have a little reunion here. So that would be fun. And I would love to see more people. Spread the word about Get Set Up. We love to have connections with other community groups and expand our community. It's how we keep this growing and how we keep offering what we offer to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll be quiet now and get off the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just have another class.
No, I'm there. Just wanted to come back and thank you again all for coming. And I hope that I will see you in another class soon.
Thanks.
Thank you. Can I use this sausage?
Thank you.
Can you what?
Can I use this sausage for that meal? You gave me an idea.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
What is it already pre-cooked?
Yes, it's pre-cooked. Well, sort of.
Make sure it's pre-cooked because or make sure you cook it well enough. You might want to cook it, you might have to cook it a little longer, but yeah, why not?
Thank you. It was a great help. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Will,
You enjoyed the class.
Bye.
will you
Thank
send
you.
the link for the marinade with the lemon and the olive oil?
Yes, all of the recipes will be in links in the email. So it'll say lemon tarragon chicken. And if you click on that, you'll go to the website and it'll show you everything I just showed you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It was great. Just
Oh, you're
absolutely
welcome.
great.
Do come back.
All right. Surely will.
And don't forget feedback. Give us feedback. We like that. It'll be on your email. All right. Take care, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.